We land across the beach, proceed to the airfield, destroy an ammo dump, eliminate any remaining resistance, sit tight till our relief arrives. Any questions?
Okay folks, just recently I uploaded a video on the EA buyout where I told that Battlefield 6 will be EA last hope. And now another information surfaced, such as it is believed that Trump family ties, or in this case Trump's family, is tied to EA buyout. I wonder what it means.
All those efforts in making The Sims the most inclusive and accepting game are falling into deep waters when your money is now going straight into the pockets of an administration that is publicly flogging, jailing, and prosecuting LGBTQ people.
Seriously? Okay, we're gonna skip to the part though.
Make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've had a lot of people tell me that they have been unwillingly unsubscribed to the channel, so make sure that you check on that. And there's been a lot of talk about restricted mode being automatically enabled for a lot of users on YouTube, which would cut you off from a lot of your favorite channels, so don't forget to check into that as well and turn it off if it's been turned on and you don't want it. But alrighty, let's take a look at this EA buyout, which apparently has the right people spooked. I became aware of this news of the Sims community losing it over this news from this post here on X from Grums. So, shout out to him for being on top of this news, and in his post, he showed this screenshot from the Sims community where it has a link to an article written by one of its members. In it, they talk about this story and they're freaking out about the new potential owners of EA. It says down here, a record-breaking deal could change EA's future. Here's what it might mean for The Sims and its future. Electronic Arts, the publisher behind The Sims, is reportedly on the verge of one of the biggest changes in gaming history. It has been reported by the Wall Street Journal that EA is in talks to go private in a massive $50 billion deal backed by investors including Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and Affinity Partners, the firm led by Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of U.S. President Donald Trump. If finalized, this would be the largest buyout the video game industry has ever seen, and it could have major implications for EA's future, including the Sims franchise.
Which is why I would say in my previous video, Battlefield 6 is EA's last hope. Battlefield 6 failed, it is over. So EA, if you really want Battlefield 6 to succeed, keep listening to the Battlefield fans, yes, the Battlefield fans, whoever they are, but do not listen to Call of Duty streamers like Face Swag, Tim the Tatman.
Now we're going to skip down to here where it says the reported buyout of EA involves several high-profile firms with significant financial influence. Leading the buyout is Silver Lake, a private equity firm known for its involvement in its investments in technology companies. Alongside Silver Lake is Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, who already own roughly 10% of EA and has been increasing its presence in the gaming industry through other investments into studios. The third key investor is Affinity Partners, a firm led by the son-in-law of U.S. President Donald Trump, Jared Kushner. Affinity Partners specializes in large-scale investments and partnerships.
Okay, we'll pause right there. Large-scale investment and partnership. I'm certain President Donald Trump is gonna be happy that his son-in-law is getting EA. I mean, seriously, Dragon Age Veilguard flopped. It took like, what, 10 years to develop? Both this person, Jared Kushner, and the Saudi Arabian PIF, they will have to, the first thing they will look at is Dragon Age Veilguard. They will ask them, okay, what the hell are you doing? Have you got any sort of value to put on the table? Or have you made any sort of money? And I don't think them saying, oh, we have diversity quotas and all that, I don't think that's gonna help them in any sorts. Remember, this is Saudi Arabia. If Saudi Arabia or Jared Kushner saw the clip of Tosh saying, I'm non-binary, BioWare is done.
And here is where these poor little activists start to have a little meltdown. It says here, for fans of The Sims, EA's potential buyout raises questions about the future of the tone of its most successful franchises. The Sims has been a cornerstone of EA's portfolio since the first game launched in 2000, and the series has drawn a dedicated, diverse fan base. And then, if we scroll down a ways, they tell us why they are afraid that The Sims will no longer be all about diversity.
Don't forget Dragon Age Veilguard. Dragon Age Veilguard is also going to be effective, and Mass Effect 5. Just be mindful that I'm 100% certain Mass Effect 5, or the upcoming Dragon Age, whatever they want to call it, is going to be effective.
It says here that Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund has been implicated in several human rights issues, both domestically in Saudi Arabia and through its international portfolio. According to Human Rights Watch, the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, owner of the trillion-dollar Saudi Public Investment Fund, has been responsible for overseeing the murder of journalists, the use of migrant slaves, and the forceful eviction and genocide of native tribes, the oppression of women and female activists, and the imprisonment and execution of LGBTQ+ people in Saudi Arabia. Human Rights Watch have linked the investment fund and the Crown Prince to several political assassinations and the continuation of the war against Yemen and the bombing of civilian populations. Okay, so you know what I find really amusing about this little write-up is the fact that for years, as these same people, these LGBT and feminist activist types, as they have been cheering free Palestine and shit like that, you tell them, hey, that is a culture that isn't exactly known for being very nice to gay people or being very open to feminist ideas, but they do this weird thing where these people either just flat out ignore what you said or they argue with you about how actually Middle Eastern culture is more progressive than what we have here in the West. And actually, they would feel safer hanging out in a culture like that because over here, in places like the United States, well, we're all just a bunch of bigots. It's nonsense, of course, the sort of ridiculous crap that they tell themselves in order to justify their shitty behavior, but it's really funny that the moment it looks as though one of these Middle Eastern cultures might have power over the Sims, then suddenly the human rights violations of Saudi Arabia is a big problem.
I think the problem is right now nobody even knows what human rights even mean. It's being thrown around like a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, it makes people confused. Make me confused. I don't even know what human rights even means anymore. Which one is human rights? Which one is not human rights? That's the thing. Tell me something, folks. Which one of you have played The Sims? I mean, was it good by their standards? Let me know in the comments.
Needless to say, these people in the Sims community, these LGBT and feminist activists, they are completely full of shit and will say whatever they have to say in order to get one over on their political enemies. But now, when it comes to The Sims, EA consistently makes buggy-ass games that don't work, and they turned the series inclusive, even though it was never an exclusive franchise in the first place, but they turned it inclusive as a means of trying to garner support from a bunch of activist gaming tourists who don't give a shit about the bugs so long as the people who made the game agree with their politics. That was the strategy by EA, I'm convinced. And what it might mean for EA games moving forward, though, if these investment firms do end up buying the company, is that studios like BioWare will no longer make games like Dragon Age the Veilguard. They can get back to making games like the original Mass Effect trilogy. Those were just plain fun and didn't worry about pushing some sort of agenda. And maybe EA will get to a point where they hire competent devs instead of activists, and they might actually iron out the bugs. That'd be nice. At the end of the day, though, I suspect that the push for DEI initiatives in a company like EA will diminish greatly once an owner arrives who is more concerned with profit than feeding the ego of activists who think they have the answer to all of life's problems because they went out and spent $100,000 on some stupid, useless gender studies degree. Will this mean that The Sims will suddenly become less inclusive, though?
Well, that could be, but still. I think what we're trying to look at is the upcoming games, okay? Okay, let's see what upcoming games do we have so far. Next week, Battlefield 6. Hopefully that we all know the timing could have been worse. Like I said, Battlefield 6 is EA's last hope. It failed, it's done. If it did go through, I think the few things they had to change is they have to hire competent developers for BioWare and also for Mass Effect. I don't think they're going to reboot. I don't think they're going to reboot the Mass Effect trilogy or anything. No, they won't do it. They reboot it or remake it. I mean, it's still the same. Best they can do is just continue forward, and hopefully Mass Effect 5 is much better. I don't know how they're going to clean up all this bloat, because trust me, that's a lot of bloat, a lot of activists that they need to clean up. And it's gonna take time for a full recovery.
Actually, I highly doubt it. When the next Sims game comes out, I'm sure that you'll be able to make whatever sort of character you want to play because, once again, EA is going to want to maximize their profit and make it appealing to as many people as possible.
That's true.
The problem that most of us have with LGBT stuff in games isn't when someone has the opportunity to play as a character like that in a setting where it makes sense. It's hijacking a series. This is what we have a problem with. Hijacking a series like Dragon Age and making it all about that sort of lifestyle, even though it wouldn't make sense in such a setting. In a dark fantasy setting like that, people are scratching and clawing just to survive. They don't have time to explore LGBT feelings or anything like that.
That's correct.
So yeah, I for one am glad to hear that things might be shaken up at this company. The current CEO is so clueless that several months ago he publicly surmised that the Veilguard could have possibly been fixed by making it live service, and that kind of cluelessness deserves to be booted out of the industry.
Because that CEO who says Dragon Age Veilguard would succeed if it was a live service, he was an idiot. Look, not everything can be like Fortnite, okay? Take a look with Call of Duty. Call of Duty tried to be like Fortnite, and guess what? It's flopping. Less than 500k players to down to like, what, 60k? And right now, Battlefield 6 is trumping them. I don't know if they're going to keep the current EA CEO, but if they don't, I hope they find someone competent. I'm 100% certain that the Crown Prince and Jared Kushner have seen the YouTube video, or in this case the YouTube clip, of Dragon Age Veilguard scene where Taj said she is non-binary. But that's just a theory. But if they did see it, BioWare will be done. It's gonna get scrubbed. All LGBT content in Dragon Age Veilguard, or in this case any Dragon Age title, the upcoming one, is gonna be scrubbed for good. Now, I'm not certain about FIFA, Madden, and WWE, which I'm certain it's gonna continue forward, the 2K and all that. Hopefully they continue forward. I mean, I hope we can get Medal of Honor, but then again, Medal of Honor is long gone, and I don't think EA is gonna reboot the franchise of Medal of Honor. Hopefully the new CEO, or whoever they choose, doesn't matter who it is at least competent. Because the way I see it, that CEO who says that Dragon Age Veilguard would succeed if it was a live service is a dum-dum.
Well done, Griffin. Now we got this airfield secured, we can get a foothold on this island and start pushing the Japanese back. We're through retreating, lad. America's back in this war.
In the decade before World War II, the Marines began to truly develop their style of combat. This preparation paid huge dividends in the early days following America's entry into the war. Guadalcanal was taken and secured with almost no loss.